Thank you, Ronen. It is, of course, very hard to follow that. Our school has a motto, and the motto is Chazak ve'ematz. The exhortation originally given by God to Joshua just before he assumes the leadership of the Jewish people, later repeated by Moses. And in truth, it's a little bit hard to translate Chazak ve'ematz because the two words mean more or less the same thing. They both mean strength. And so traditionally we say, be strong and have courage. But the question is obvious. If the Torah never wastes words, why does God in this blessing, in this prayer, use two words which are basically synonymous? And the answer is because what faced Joshua when he heard those words was not one task but two. His immediate task was to lead an army and conquer the land of Israel. And for that he needed strength. But then there was something else to come. His task then was not to build an army, but to build a society, to create the first Jewish sovereignty as a model for others to follow. And for that, he needed more than strength. For a challenge of that duration and magnitude, he needed to draw from an infinite reservoir of courage. Tonight, there are different views about what we're celebrating. Some say we're celebrating the end of school life. And for others, we say we're celebrating the beginning of what is to come. And the truth is, I would say, it's neither. Tonight is about closing one chapter and starting the next, going from one section of the book to another. But there are themes that run through this book. And there are challenges that you have met up till now, which you will meet again, but in different guises. And whereas you have needed strength to get to this point, from now on, it is courage that you will need to see through those challenges. And in particular, I want to talk about the challenge of being part of a community, of understanding what it is to be a Jew today, and, believe it or not, of taking exams, because there are more of those to come. You have been up till now part of a community. And indeed, this particular cohort is to be praised for creating a bond of friendship, of loving and trusting and loyal friends. But from now on, you'll find yourself in different communities, some overlapping, some concentric, and some distinct. Workplaces, families and friends, the Jewish world, the Commonwealth of Australia, and indeed, ever increasingly as global citizens. And what your challenge is to understand that a community is more than just a group of individuals, even those who check each other's status updates. But a community is bound by an understanding of the needs of other people and the ability to hear the call when help is required. And there is a difference between those who respond to that call and those who don't. Let me illustrate this with the story of Oskar Schindler, someone who is well known to the families that he saved, including the family of one of the cohort of this graduating class. But the world knows about Schindler because Thomas Keneally wrote a book and Steven Spielberg made a film about him. And there's a scene towards the end of that film where Schindler visits his fellow factory owners and asks them to try and save their Jewish slave workers as he had done to his. And one says, no, it's not possible, and another says, no, I've already done enough. And so it was only Schindler who managed to save his workers. And when we watch that film, we don't know the names of those other factory owners. And the reason we don't know their names is because nobody wrote a book about them. When you hear the call to help others, other individuals, or maybe a whole society. I hope you have the strength to hear that call and the courage to answer it. And that you're not amongst the nameless, but you're amongst those whose names are inscribed in the pages of history, and maybe even amongst those about whom books are written. Our motto is written in Hebrew, and it comes from the pages of the Tanakh. And that is fitting for a school which places Jewish continuity and Jewish knowledge at the heart of its mission. And until now, you have absorbed from your teachers and from your madrachim Jewish values, Jewish experiences, a love for Israel and a connection to the state. But from now on, it is your task, it is your challenge to interpret for yourselves what it means to have a Jewish identity, to be part of the Jewish people in the 21st century. And let me ask one thing of you, that you understand that Jewish life and Jewish learning is yours. It doesn't just belong to your parents and grandparents or your teachers and rabbis, but it is yours to learn and to learn from, and it is yours to live and to give life to. And then there's one more thing that I ask of you. Next week, we'll be celebrating Hanukkah. And we all know the story of the oil that should have been extinguished but carried on burning. But the real miracle is not just that the oil carried on, but the Jewish people and the Jewish way of life carried on. Unique amongst the myriad of cultures and identities that existed at that time, which were overwhelmed by the coming of the Greek and then the Roman Empire, and are now only to be found in artifacts in museums. Because of the Maccabees and because of every generation since then, we carried on, and you are here today. And now, your challenge is to continue the story, to ensure that the story is not just one of the past, but one of the future, and will be told in the future. And it truly is a challenge. It's very easy to be seduced by assimilation, as so many young Jews are today. It's natural to be repulsed by anti-Semitism, which we now know was only sleeping and did not die. And so I ask that you have the strength and the courage to meet this challenge, to create Jewish life and to create Jewish lives. And finally, a word about exams. There will be more. There will be university exams. For some, there'll be professional qualifications. But for all of you, with tremendous frequency, there will be a particular type of exam. If a test is to show how you can apply your learning in a new situation, then it truly will be a test, but one without a 4-digit number at the end of it, without a mark scheme, without paragraphs to learn, and with only one question. And the question is this: what is the right thing to do? And that is the exam you will face again and again. We hope you are proud of being graduates of Mount Scopus. We certainly are proud of you. And may it be that you continue to have sufficient strength to understand that question of what is the right thing to do, and sufficient courage to follow the path that the answer dictates. And may it be that you continue to make us proud of you and you proud of yourselves. May you have all the strength and the courage that you need. Chazak v'ematz. Thank you very much.